Hello and welcome to Game Club. And today we'll be playing through Horrified in the solo player mode. That is the Horrified Universal Monsters series. A classic game. So I will be setting up in the way that I normally do, and just to show you, I will run through that quickly with you. But first I just want to show you this wonderful start bit for the board itself. You've got this really fun warning which I think it's just a great little touch, and why Ravensburg are really on top of their game at the moment. Anyway, join me as I put together the game. So we'll start by opening up the game board like so, and should be able to see that and just get them into frame. That's wonderful. Yep, that works fine. Okay, I'll just move the box over here. Now I'm going to play against a two-player game. You can obviously play against more if you want to, although in a single-player sort of solo play it's slightly more difficult. I have played it against the Mummy, the Invisible Man, Dracula and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Today I'll be fighting Dracula and I think the Creature from the Black Lagoon, just because they're the ones it generally recommends to start with, and also since this is probably your introduction to it, it'll probably be easier as well. I'll put them on the side of the board here, so Dracula will be here and the Creature from the Black Lagoon will be there. Now, excuse me, what I normally do now is I will take my fear marker, which it looks like that. Oh, there we go. I put that on 3, and it is marked helpfully on the top there, solo play, which I'll show you briefly so you can see. Just at the top there it says quite clearly number 3, solo play. Wonderful. Right, so I'll lay that down and we will put that on the solo play marker, and then we take our little marker here. Now this marker is the Frenzied Monster marker, and that goes on Dracula, that goes on your lowest Frenzied marker. I've got to take out from the bag Dracula's special icons, which are the tombstones. There should be 4 of in here, and I'll tell you where they get placed in a second. I'll just find the 5th one, which should be loitering in there somewhere. Yeah, there we go. So the 4th one, that is. And also, don't forget that you should have, for the creature, this little ship, and that goes at the start there as well. Wonderful. I'll just unpack the dice, and with the Creature from the Black Lagoon you have to unpack this little camp cover that covers the symbol here which says camp, which is in the top here, so you'll know. Then you need your bag, the black bag with all the little items in it as well, which we will go to in just a second. Now you want to find your figures that match the people that you'll be taking on. So we've got Dracula, which will go on here, and someone here is the creature. Very good. Brilliant stuff, and I'll put the rest away. Anything I'm not using I'll just keep in the bag so that I don't need to worry about. So that's all those are out. Now I'm going to randomly choose my character in a second, but what I normally do now is I take out the cards, and you've got, these are just your phase cards that tell you what to do on your turn and on the monster's turn. I'll put them here. They'll be off camera, they'll be out of shot, but that's not a problem. I also put down here these white cards, which are your special perk cards, and then you've got your monster cards as well, which are, I'll keep just down here as well. Now they are just out of shot. I'm going to probably move this board up a little bit, and I'll move them up so you can see both of them. That just means you'll understand it more as I play. Now what I normally do at this point is I just quickly turn over these cards and see where exactly, or actually it's probably easier way to explain it is with Dracula. If you look on Dracula's thing here, it will tell you where to put them. So this says, for instance, cave, so you put it, and you put it this side up, so it tells you how you have to break them. The dungeon, which is down up here, the crypt, which is here, and the graveyard, which is down here. Now Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon I need to set up. So if you look on the back here, it will tell you, basically this is the creature starts in the lagoon, so we'll put the creature in the lagoon over here, and Dracula, it says place Dracula on the board at the crypt, which is down here with one of the coffins there. So what we do now is I'm just going to quickly shuffle these, and if I turn them the other way around I won't be able to tell who I'm going to draw. Now in solo play you can't play one player, so let me just quickly select that guy to get rid of. You can't play the courier because his special action actually helps with other heroes, so it doesn't make sense if you're playing on your own that you would play with other heroes. So we'll just quickly choose, and I'm going to choose this one here, and it is, oh good, it's one of my favourite characters. That's the archaeologist. I think he's pretty good. He's got 4 moves. You normally get 5 moves, so you normally get 4 moves, and there's one character that gets 5 moves. I like him because he gets 4 moves, plus he has a very good special perk or special action, which is marked down here, which is pick up items from an adjacent space. There he is, and it will tell you just the bottom here where the starting location is. His starting location is the docks, and I'll put him on the docks. Now you will see it, I will turn the camera around so you can see that. What I like to do then is I like to take all the villagers, and as they're drawn occasionally or sometimes often from this monster card here, it's better to keep them close by if you can. So I'll just take these out, put them up here, and that is all of them. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of the box here, and I'm going to keep it bar the instructions, which I'll keep close by so I can just refer to it every so often if there's any particular questions that may crop up. You never know, in these sort of games things often do happen. I'm just going to put them down here. Now we're almost ready to go. I'll just take out the dice. I keep lots of my things in little packs, and I suspect everyone else does as well, but this way you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But there's them out of the pack, and I'll put them just here as well. They will definitely be used at some point. Now what we need to do is, the last thing we need to do is, in this bag you need to just shuffle and you choose 12 tokens. So I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more, 11, 12, brilliant. And then quickly place them on the board. So institute, tower, camp, institute again, docks, me, then we've got docks again, oh, lucky me, docks a third time. Oh, does anyone think this is rigged? It's not rigged. Another institute. I'm playing this live just so you know, mansion, which means that obviously things can go right and also can go very wrong. Abbey and precinct, and so I could lose, I could win, but anyone who plays games solo and plays them seriously solo will find that often that can be the case and that can happen. Now, join me when we start playing the game. Right, so that seems like a better camera angle, plus also you can kind of just about see me. I'll move that across a little bit so we can see some of the cards there. I'll just put the hero cards, sorry, the perk cards in there as well so you can see that. Right, so I've just taken 3 items that are from here and I've kept them here. Then I'm going to move one more move to the tower. I'll pick up another item there. So that now is effectively 3 moves I've done. And then the 4th move I'll do will be to the theatre. That way then moving me forward enough. The way I see it, particularly in the solo game, is what you're trying to do is you want to move as quickly as possible, and you want to try to facilitate that the villagers will be you'll be able to help them. You also can pick up enough stuff to fight the monsters, but particularly you want to be at least 3 spaces away from the monsters all the time. That's basically the way I see it. Anyway, let's turn over the first of our monster cards, and that's what it is. Oh, there we go, a monster card. Now, that actually is, the way we look at it is, so firstly 2, we've got to draw 2 from our black bag here. So I get the bag, and then that's, first thing I do is I'll just take out randomly 1 and another one 2, and we've got one from the theatre, which will go here, and then one from the Institute. And as you can see, just to show you, because I haven't shown you already, so it says quite clearly there, and you can just about see Institute, and that has a value at the top, which in that one it says number 1, so that's value of 1. You'll see how that's important as we play through later. But now let's see what else it says. The card also says the hunt is on, and that would be important if we're playing as the Wolfman, but we don't have the Wolfman, so we're lucky there. But down here, as you can see, you've got this symbol is for our friend, the creature in the Black Lagoon. This symbol is for Dracula, and this symbol is for the frenzied monster. So if we look over here, we'll be able to see, one sec, so this is the point where you can see that Dracula is the frenzied monster, and then if we go down we can see that the creature from the Black Lagoon obviously is not the frenzied monster, even though this frenzied marker here has a number. He's a higher number than Dracula, who's a lower number. Dracula, as you can see, is a number 1, and Dracula will start off, but if it tells you to move the frenzied marker, you move it up to the higher number, and vice versa when you're requested to do so, but it always starts on the lower number. And so when it comes to the game board, actually you probably see it a little bit better now. So if we then look at the card again, we can see that the Dracula and the Phantom get Dracula and the creature from the Black Lagoon get 1 move each, and the frenzied monster gets a move as well. So what you normally do is they will normally go towards the hero. So you would move Dracula 1 and then 2 to the mansion, which makes sense because there's a direct route there. And with the creature in the Black Lagoon, he moves 1. He'll move into the land. Obviously he's moving towards my hero, who is here. And yeah, let's continue with the game. Okay, so I think that's actually a really good view of what we're looking at here and how we're playing. I'll just move this across a little bit just to fill the screen up. Now we'll move and do the second round. I'm just going to have a quick drink, excuse me. Great. Actually, I'll take that a shot, sorry. Now what we do is we go on to the next round. It's my go again. It's 4 moves, and I've seen on the theatre there's a 5 from the theatre, and that's a prop. It looks like a prop rapier. There we are. So I'll take one of those and I'll put that down here. Now that's very helpful as well. So that's 1 move, 1 action. Then I go 2nd action, 3rd action. Now at this point, I'm in the dungeon and I have the coffin here. So if I have 6, which I do, I actually have more than 6. It says 6 and plus 6 or plus 6. So obviously I've got 8 there. I will use those 2. I'll put them into my bag here, and I will take this coffin token from the dungeon and I will flip it over, and I'll then go to where it is on Dracula's card here, and I'll just show you Dracula's card so you can see this. Excuse me. Dracula's card has the coffins itemised on them with their locations, and what you're literally doing is you're just hunting down all of those. So at the moment I've currently got Dracula's second coffin on the card, but my first coffin of his, and that's my round over. Now once again, remember these cards, right? So here we go. So we see number 2. This would have been very good if you were an Invisible Man. As you can see here, place the Invisible Man at the location with the most items, discard all items there. And literally that would be very destructive if you were playing against him. Remember the 2 from here we now need to go to. And just take 2, there we are, there's 2 there, 1 from the barn, 5, and another from the barn, brilliant. 4, both red, which is exactly what I need to beat Dracula, which is superb. And we look at the card again, and what we can see is, we can see our friend, the creature, has 1 move there, 1 move for the creature. Now with these cards, what I always do is I keep them face up here, or once they're used, so the creature will move 1, which is meaning he's 1 more closer towards me, which is never good. And what we have to just think about here is where I'm going to go on my next turn. So now it comes to my next turn, and I've got to think about what I'm going to do next. So I'm thinking the tower, makes sense. Then we move to the theatre. So that's 2 actions. Two actions. But I'm going to then look at my special action, which says pick up items from an adjacent square. So I'm going to use that to pick up these 2 items from the barn here. Now they're very useful because they're red. And then I'm going to move down. So that's all my 4 actions. So I went 1, 2, 3 to pick up here, and then the 4th to move here. So that ends my turn effectively. We will then turn over. Now, if he gets 2, we could be in problems, but hopefully he won't. Right, 3 items firstly. Always do the items first, especially if you're playing solo. It's amazing how as the game progresses, you can quickly forget these things, and it can become quite difficult, it's a nice way of putting it, to catch up. But also it's because when things are going good for you, you're generally focusing on all of those wonderful things that you're doing well and how sort of you're speeding along, and suddenly it can all fall apart when you don't have enough items to defeat the monsters. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be that case, but it can be slightly problematic if it does happen. I'll just pick up tokens I've dropped on the floor. Apologies, problem of doing things live. Excuse me. Anyway, so back to the game. Now, if we look at the token as well, it says, it will give you instructions here. You always have to follow these. Place Dr. Cranley at the laboratory. So I look through, there's Dr. Cranley. And it says up here, we'll see at the top where their safe location is. So it says the name at the bottom, safe location at the top. And it tells you here that laboratory, or laboratory if we're in America. And then at the bottom here we have the Invisible Man and the Frenzied Monster. Frenzied Monster moves 1. Our Frenzied Monster is Dracula. And my logic would be Dracula would come down here because he would want to get both of us. So Dracula goes down, and it's my turn. Now, this is the laboratory. His safe location is the precinct, which is up here. Slightly problematic to say the least. What I would probably look at doing is going 1, 2, so I'm effectively moving him, and the way I see it is I'm moving him as far away as possible to these guys. It is 2 stops to them, but it's the best I can do. And with my guy there, I can think about trying to draw away the guys, or I can think about going for the graveyard here, which is probably my best option. So I'll go 1 and 2. Now, a lot of people probably would not have done that. They would have ended their turn and then pushed through, because they know if this guy's killed, then this fear marker moves up 1. But the way I see it is, it's my only option to basically play to beat this guys is by getting as much stuff as possible and then going for the target. I'm going for Dracula first because I think he'll be the easier of the 2 to beat. But anyway, that's my logic. So we flip over this card, and as you can see, you get these a lot, these 0. So that means we don't get any items on the board. The reincarnated soul would affect the mummy, and then the bottom here, as we can see, Dracula is the only one noted, and Drac's got 1 move, which is fine because Drac will move to the shop here. Now I'm going to move it slightly quicker along now because obviously I'm excited, and also I can see that things could end badly, but this is actually quite good. So I can now use my 1. So if you see here where it says guide 1 villager to or from an adjacent space. So this is where the problem comes in, and if we just check the rules, you'll see what it says is that we have to move 1 villager from your hero space to an adjacent space, or move 1 villager from an adjacent space to your hero space. Villagers also cannot move to water spaces, and monsters do not affect their movement. So what it's saying is, in effect, I have to be there. So I have to go 1, 2, move him 3, and then move 4. So as you can see, I'm literally guiding him along. Now what I did before that was obviously move him along to me. There is ways of playing it where you can have it so that they move towards you, and you can keep moving them along. But as we can see, that's how it has to be. So we're going to follow exactly the rules for this, because we don't want to cheat, because cheating is not good. You're doing it on your own. You're supposed to be doing it as hard as possible. So next card for them, another 0, never good. Retreat, place the creature at the waterfront. That's very useful. Waterfront's down here, so that helps me out a lot. and as you can see at the bottom there, the frenzied creature gets to move 1, which is Drac. Drac moves 1. But both beneficial for us, but it's also slightly difficult as well. So I'll move 1 and I'll move him 1, I'll move 1, I'll move him 1, and they're my 4 moves, but he is now at a safe location, so he is now safe, and I get my perk card, and my perk card is skip the next monster phase, draw and place 2 items from the item bag when played. Now I don't want to play that yet because I don't see the point at the moment. What I do see the point, however, is that I probably should now look at the cave as my option for the next coffin. Let's flip this over and it shows, oh, a 2. So what do? Yes, we go into the bag, we draw 1, 2, a precinct and a tower. And you will find regularly that it will pull, like for instance here, the Institute, it will pull, and if you're playing against someone like this guy here, which is an Invisible Man, it can be a real pain in the arse because you end up losing all of your good stuff that's sitting down there. As you can see here, the creature on the Black Lagoon gets 1 move, and the creature will always move towards, the way I would do it is, I would think the creature would probably move towards Dracula, because then he'll go from the river and then to the bridge here, because remember the waterways are a connecting point for him. He specifically will flow along the waterways, which is always a pain. Right, so my turn, I'm going to pick up these 2, I need those 2, that will be very helpful in the long run. So that's my 1 move, 2nd action, 3rd action, 4th action. Right, monster's turn. This is where it gets quite tasty for the monsters now, because they turn over a card. You're really playing, it's a risky game, so we've got 3 there to do, as you can see. 1, 2, and this one makes 3. Okay, so we've got church, we've got tower, and we've got docks. Then if we look down, worried fiance is the term, and that's Elizabeth. So we look along and we find Elizabeth, who is at the end here. Now Elizabeth, it says here, should be the mansion, and Elizabeth needs to get to, as it says at the top, I'll just show you there so you can see, Elizabeth needs to get to the tower, which is currently here, which is going to be interesting indeed. So here we go. The way I see it is I should probably destroy the coffin and then come back and try and save Elizabeth. So I'll go 1 to there. I'll then use my pistol. Stole it from the precinct. Destroy Dracula's 2nd coffin, which is at the camp. So we've got the camp one. What does it say here? Cave. Sorry, cave, not camp. My apologies. Then my 3rd move, and my 4th move. Now, this is going to be interesting because they will move. Now, they are 3 spaces away, and it's rare they'll get 3 spaces, but I could have used my card, but I'm not going to. Instead, I'm going to turn over one of their cards, 0, and it says here, place Dracula at the crypt. So Drac goes back to the crypt, which is not very beneficial for us, but them's the breaks. This frenzied monster is on 1, and we'll move him 1. I will show you what the dice mean and when it gets to the turn. If it gets to the turn, it will do, but just when it gets to the turn, it probably makes more sense. Right, okay, so now at this point, I can call Elizabeth to me, so that's 1 action there. Elizabeth needs to get to the tower, and the tower is here. The problem is that just very close by is our friend, the creature. So probably what I'll do is I'll move then another 1, so we move 2 there. So that's 1 move, 2, 3 moves. And actually I'll call her to me, I'll pick up these items using my special power. So sometimes you can do this, if you're playing on your own, sometimes you can do this, and then I'll move those, and that's all 4 of my actions done. I'm then going to skip the next monster phase, so I will use this card, and that's done right at the end of my turn. I have to draw and place 2 items, you can read that. It says draw and place 2 items from the item bag. So we'll turn that up there, we'll put my hand in, pull out 2, oh, here 1 at the laboratory, and 1 at the inn, which is up here. And so then basically I get to move 4 again. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. And Elizabeth is now safe at the tower, and I have lucked out by getting another card. Sometimes it's flows like this. Sometimes it flows a lot more hard and you have to really take on the horrors of the monsters you're taking on, whatever. And we go now to their turn. And you see we've got 3 there, so that's 3. I'll be honest that I really get irked when I get too many villagers. There was a game, because I like playing single player games, so it's probably, if you're watching this video, you do as well. But I got a few stingers, let's say, when every so often you would just end up getting villager cards. And as you play this game, you'll probably find that as well. This is for Professor Pearson. Prof Pearson, who is, where are you, Prof? Where are you? There's Prof Pearson, and it says place him at the cave. So he goes up here where Dracula's tomb was, and well, where the coffin was, and now gone. Then we got the 2. We got the frenzy monster moves 2, Dracula moved 1 and 2. He'll move towards Pearson. Sorry, as I was saying, so basically the problem sometimes happens where you end up getting loads of villagers, and you kind of get caught out, and you can end up losing just because of that. So, just to show you the card I got, it says the current player takes 2 additional actions, which can be quite useful. So it's my turn. Now the way I see it is, I probably want to go to the camp to get Pearson and forget about Dracula's. And this is the problem, is this makes you forget about Dracula's coffin. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you come across a bad guy on the action turn, you don't need to worry so much, to be fair, but we'll get to that. Now at this point, obviously, I suspect I'm going to get attacked by Dracula, which will be helpful and not so helpful. So as you can see, we got a 2 there. We got 2, and I can already tell that this is the classic problem, Dracula problem coming up now. And sometimes the game does this to you. We'll just throw in a real stinker, and as you can see here, what it says is, form of the bat, place Dracula in the space with a current player's hero. And I'll just look down and I can see that no other actions are coming up now, but I have to do that. So there you go, Dracula's now in my current space. And at this point, he should then have 2 rolls. If a monster gets into your square, he should have 2 rolls, and that will, he should roll dice, and it will tell you here it says 2 dice. So basically, effectively, all you're doing is taking 2 dice here, and you roll them, and you can probably see, oh great, you can see what they are. So there's both of these, it's very useful. So you do have a blank side, but I've got that, which for Dracula, it will tell you here with the question mark sign here, or exclamation mark should I say, place the current player's hero in Dracula's space. Don't need to do that, I'm already there. And he's hit me once as well, so at that point, I can either die if I want to keep all my stuff, which is fine, but this will go up, or you lose 1 item, and I'm going to be very clever and lose 1 item. This is one reason why you should collect a lot of items, just because you can dump a load and it kind of gives you a bit of breathing space. My turn. I'm going to use this, I'm going to add 2 additional turns to my go. So I'm going to move 1, I've got 6 in total, and then I'll go 2, 3, and then where's he got to go to? He's got to go to the museum. 4, 5, and then I will pick up this mansion token as well. That's one thing I will say, is you should try and get a mixture of colours, red, yellows and blues. Depending on who you're fighting against, obviously there are different facets to what they require, but I always like to have a coverage because it's just useful, because you can dump stuff and not worry too much about it. Anyway, their turn. Right, all 2. We've got 2 from this. Now as you can see on this one, you probably just quickly spied the Bride and Frankenstein Museum and Institute. Institute's really welling up with stuff now. Now the Bride and Frankenstein, playing against them is an absolute nightmare, but this will tell you about Frankenstein and the Bride moving towards each other. Anyway, we'll ignore that. The creature from the Black Lagoon gets 2 moves. 2 moves. So here we'll go 1, 2, because that makes more sense. If you went via the river and there, that would also work as well, but I always say that he's normally going to come the quickest route possible, but actually I will put him that way just because it makes more sense, because he would probably go through the water system. To be fair, you choose. I often do it that they'll just come straight towards normally the hero, and if the villagers are in the way, then so be it. My turn, and I'll go, so we'll move 2 moves and then 4 moves, and that saves our friend, the museum, And we get our perk card, which is here, and that is the place the creature in any space or move any monster 3 spaces. Very useful indeed. That's very, very useful, to be fair. Also, what I'll do is I'm going to use this as well, because it's not the end of my turn just yet. Place the hero in any non-water space. There's a reason why I want to do this, is because I want to move my hero all the way to the graveyard here. And that means the next turn I can hopefully destroy another coffin of Dracula's. So it's our guy's turn. 3 in there, and I've just seen there's going to be a villager who's coming, which is just when you think you've got enough. Camp, theatre, and Abbey. So Lucy at the theatre. Lucy is the where is she? Lucy is the lady in the dress, and she needs to get to the mansion. Now, if you see here, Dracula and the frenzied monster have 2, so Dracula will have 4 moves. So 1, 2, 3. Oh dear, Lucy. Now, just to show you, Dracula gets 1 dice, but effectively he'll get 2. I always roll them singularly. First one is blank, very lucky. Second one is also blank. Wow, that's a fluke. Lucy is safe. It's my go. Now, let's be blunt for a second here. I'm going to have to use this, move any monster 3 spaces to save Lucy. So I'll move Dracula 1, 2, and 3, sending him as far away from her as I physically can get. Also allows me to get to the camp, but also to do what I'm going to do next. My first action is to destroy his coffin here. There's a 6er. Put that back in the bag. Graveyard. Dead. Dracula. That's how we've got 1 more left to go. So that's my first go. My second go, I have to go 2, 3, 4. I'll go to the shop. It makes sense. It means in the next turn Dracula will attack me if he gets pulled. The creature obviously won't, but them's the breaks. And then we'll turn over their card. Now we've got 3, and we've also got another villager popping up as well. This is exactly like I said before, so I'm just going to swimmingly and then I put my foot in it. Barn, theatre, and of course the camp. And just briefly to note before, let's put Fritz in. Fritz, this little hunchback guy, is at the tower, as it says clearly there, tower. And just to note here, the frenzied monster gets 1 move, which will be Dracula moving towards me, and he gets 2 dice. Thanks, Drac. And look at that, double hit, which is useful, so I can then go and get rid of another flower, and I'll get rid of this kite, because I don't need either of those 2. I do need those 2, but I don't really need them at the moment. So just to let you know, so there are 3 different coloured objects that you can collect, the items you can collect, and they are the blue one, which is intellectual, according to the book, yellow, which is spiritual, and red, which is physical. I always thought that all items are physical, but I'm obviously no nuts, so I won't say any more than that. Right, my turn. So, I think Lucy's probably the lady I've got to go and rescue, but I'd like to also try and do something else while I can. So I'll go 1, 2. I'm going to take this shotgun here for my 3rd, which is probably not the best move in the game, but the only one I've got. And then the 4th one will be to pick up these 2. Also, actually, I'll pick up these 3 items in the tower. Actually, no, I'm going to bring my friend over to me, Fritz. Now, that's what you'll find, is that it's a lot of the times you'll want to do something, then you'll think, actually, no, it's probably better to do something, and yada yada yada. That's how game playing is. Be honest with yourself, be fair with yourself, and don't cheat. That's what I would generally recommend. That's why I like solo game playing as much as I like normal game playing. Right, next one, 3. Oh, 3 more stuff, but this also looks quite useful. So, graveyard, 1, barn, 1, laboratory, 1. Right, so it says here, on the move the frenzy marker to the next monster move each villager one space towards their safe location. Right, so the frenzy marker jumps to the creature in the Black Lagoon, which is a blessing and a curse, because he now gets 3 moves, and we'll see how that's useful. Then you've got to move each villager one space towards their safe location. So Lucy's is the mansion, so she'll move down, and his is the institute. Fritz he'll also move down as well. The creature in the Black Lagoon will go 1, 2, and he'll be fighting me. If you look at the book, just briefly, just so you can understand the monster phase, when it says about the monster moving towards, move the monster number of space indicating the card towards the closest person, hero or villager. So as you can see here, the hero, me, would be the best option. He gets 2 on me, so this will be interesting. Oh, a blank, but he also gets that question mark. Now, his exclamation mark allows him to move the boat, which you basically, I'll just show you so you can see. This is his boat, and you move it as you go, and you go to the camp. Every colour item takes it up. He gets to move it back 1. But if you haven't moved it, in my case I haven't, and I normally try to get it all done in one sort of foul swoop, it does nothing. So that's kind of helped me in some respects. My turn. Right, I'm going to move 1 here. This is where it gets tricky because Dracula's there. So, well, what we're going to do, so I can move, remember I can move them 1 space, so I'll probably move Lucy 1 space, so that's 2, 3, and then I'll move Lucy 4 towards the mansion. This is really catch-22 because at the moment, depending on what this card does, it could be all over for me. 2 here. So we've got the museum, and we've got 1 for the tower. And it says, as you can see here, 1 move each for our friend, the frenzied monster, Dracula, and our friend, the monster from the Black Lagoon. So he's going to move 1. Dracula is going to attack me, obviously, and right, we'll start with Dracula. We'll clear up Dracula. He's got 2 against me, so he gets 1 exclamation mark, which helps me because it's the current player's hero in Dracula's space. But the hit point is a problem, so I'm going to have to lose 1 of my lower ranking red items. So there's 3 there that can go. And then we'll move to the creature from the Black Lagoon, who gets 2, and don't forget, gets a double go at this. So double hit. Fritz is dead. This moves up 1 to 4, problem. And now at this point, you see, so he can move again. So he can physically move to me. Roll 2 more. Gets 1 hit, which is okay because I will then dump my 4. Now put that in the bag, and now it's my go. So I'll move 1, move her to the mansion for 1. That gets me a perk. Hopefully that will be a good one. It is a move a hero up to 4 spaces. Useful, very useful indeed. We'll see how useful in just a second. So I've moved 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Right, it's now, there you go. Here we go. Put that there. And 0 items. It's our friend the mummy, but we don't need to worry about that. And it's only Dracula who moves, and Dracula will move 1. So Dracula move 1 towards me. My go. I'm going to move directly here. I'm going to use the 6 to destroy the final coffin, which means now Dracula, I need to get 6 or more with the yellow tokens. So that's, I was here, so 1, 2, 3, and I'll pick up these. So my hero turn, I can beat Dracula, which will be very useful indeed. Let's see what happens though. Next one, 2 extras. So we'll take 2 more. The game flows really well at this point. These sort of things will make it far more fun as it sort of hurtles along, because once you get to these places, you really, the game just starts moving and moving and moving, which is really, really good indeed. Right, so it's the meeting of Bride. Frankenstein, we don't need to worry about that. We do need to worry, however, about the fact that our friend, the creature, is getting 2 moves. He will move 1, 2 to the mansion. Now it's my turn. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to probably 1, 2 to Dracula, and then I need to use, so it says overcome Dracula. In Dracula's space, use 6 for the yellow to plus to defeat him. So I've got 2 stakes there, which are 3 each, and that means Dracula is now out of the game, which is very good for me. I'll put Dracula there, and I'll put his coffins crushed beside him, so we don't need to worry too much about that, and then we'll move on. Right, so we've beaten Dracula, now we're on to the creature. I've moved from the Abbey 1, 2, 3 to beat our friend Dracula, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 4 to the shop. I will then use my move a hero up to 4 spaces and go 1, 2, 3. Actually, I've gone to the shop, so I'm going to then go, see, this is where you have to think back. So I'm going to pick up, I'm going to use my 4th action to pick up these 2 museum items, which I can do. So in fact I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I go 1, 2, 3. So I'll now move my 3. It's now the creature from the Black Lagoon's turn. All 3 items, and we have a problem. So we have the 3 items here, and we've got Abbey, again, Abbey 1, Farm 1, and the Precinct 1. Right, Dr. Reed now has to be placed at the Institute. So Dr. Reed is Dr. Reed here, goes to the Institute, which is down here. And as we can see, our friend the Frenzied Monster gets 2 moves, 1 for himself and 1 for being frenzied, so 1, oh dear. Now he gets 2 dice according to this, so he's going to attack me, and he gets 2 hits. So I'm going to have to lose 2 items, which I think I'll lose these 2 here, and I'll dump those 2. Now it's my go. This is where it gets difficult because it's really about decision. So I'm going to pick up, my first go I'm going to pick up all of these. Then my second go I'm going to use the blue one that I've just picked up to move the boat along. So this is at the camp, use yellow, red or blue to move the boat to the next matching marker. So I move it to blue. Then I need to think about what the next one is, so I'm going to use yellow. So this is my 3rd go. And move to the and then I'm going to move 1 space away. So there we go. My 4 moves are done. It's now our friend's turn, and 3 items, and we're going to get another person out there as well. So we've got an Abbey stake, camp again, and the camp at that time. Renfield will be placed at the docks. Thing is, at this point, you've really got a few options here. As you can see there, Frenzy gets 2 moves and 2 dice, so he'll move to me, and he's going to use 2 dice, and he's hit me once, which is useful, so I can lose that camp tarot card. At this point, I'm not going to help the villagers. The way I see it is I want to start getting on to our friend here, so my next move will be 1 to here for the camp, and I can see yellow is the best option. We'll use the yellow token, which will move advance him to there, and so that's 1. I'll then pick up these 2 for my second turn. Then go 3 and 4 down to the mansion. This will be more difficult because I suspect he'll get another go anyway. Here we go, turn him over again, and we've got 2. And as thought, I suspected he gets 2 moves. So bomb for the barn, bomb for the mansion. Our boy moves 1, and he only gets 1 dice though, so hopefully, oh, he gets question mark, so he gets to now move it back 1 space. He has moved it back 1 space, thank you, the creature. So now it's my go. And I would probably at this point think, what's my best option? And I think this would be it. 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one is to just collect all of these. I'll put Dr. Reed back, but that gives me a hell of a lot of extra weaponry against him. Plus also if he comes after me I can probably get rid of a load of stuff as well. Let's go. Oh dear. Place the creature at the lagoon. The creature goes back to the lagoon. Frenzied monster gets one move, and so he'll probably move to that bridge there. My go. Right, I'm going to bring Dr. Reed with me because I'm going to the camp anyway. I'll take these for my second action, and then I'll go 3 and 3. Now his go. Now the thing is, at this point I leave it slightly vulnerable because it's me and him, but then the breaks. 3 items, very good. So let's take 3, and we've come across this card before, but I'll play it again. So that's in the shop, that's in the mansion, and that's in the museum. Move the frenzy marker to the next monster. We can't because the other monster is now officially dead. So move each villager 1 space towards a safe location. So Renfield's going to the hospital, so move to the tower, and our friend Mr. Reed will move this way because that's the shortest possible way. Frenzy monster gets 3 moves. 1, 2. Oh dear. And he also then gets 2 dice. And bang, dead. As you can see, things are not looking good. It's now my go. Right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, going me to the camp, and that ends my turn. He now goes, oh, we've got 2. And he gets 2 moves at this point. Church, which is here, and camp, which I'm on. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm closer, so he'll move 2, 1, 2 towards me, but that gives me some breathing space. Now it's my turn. Right, I'm going to use my first one to move his marker to the yellow, which means then I'll have to pick up a yellow at some point, which actually I could probably do on actually, no, so I'm going to use blue and then yellow, so I'll move it blue, and I'll keep holding my yellow, sorry I picked up the wrong one, that's my mistake, and then I'll use another blue, that's my second go, and then I'll use another blue for my third go, and then my fourth go will be the final blue, gets me to his lair, so we could still win yet, depending. Right, 3 items, and we're getting my lever. My lever gets put at the camp, which is going to be a problem for me. So 3 items, laboratory, institute, and laboratory. Frenzied item gets, frenzied player gets 1 move, and he will, this when you get this sort of situation where the monster is on the same space with both, you need to just quickly check the book. So 1 person in the monster space, attack 1 person in the monster space by rolling the number of attack dice. If there are no people in the monster space, the monster does not attack. Do not roll the dice. If there are multiple people in the space, the monster will attack a hero rather than a villager. There you go. That explains it. So 2 against me. All 2 hits, well that's fine, I've got enough to, and I'll get rid of 1, and I'll get rid of that 2 as well, that helps me. It's now my go, and what I probably will do, now I've got the lair, so I need a yellow, a red and a blue to beat him, so yellow, red and a blue, as you can see there, yellow, red and blue, and there endeth our friend, black monster from the creature from the Black Lagoon. Now that's it, you've completed it, you've won the game, congratulations, I've done it very well. There are some bits I probably need to work on. I think I need to think more proactively about the space of my movement on the board. I left a lot of this over the board alone for too long. The church is overpulled and some resources by the tower as well, but bar that, it was a pretty good game.